Giving.
Thank you. Okay, assalamu alaikum. So you're here on Speaker's Corner. I have a special guest today with me called Rizwan. He's into filming in a big way. We're friends. We've done a little bit of work before, and we won't be taking calls today, inshallah, because we're not going to be able to get through everything that we want to get through. So a few text messages would be welcome. We'd read them out, but due to time constraints and the amount of conversation that we're going to have to get through here, inshallah, we will just be keeping it as a conversation between me and Rizwan, inshallah. So I'll let the brother introduce himself now, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, good. So just give us a quick intro to yourself, brother, and then we'll crack on with the mission in hand, because we've got a lot to do, haven't we?
We've got a lot of catching up.
Some people don't know you, but people that are in the know you, don't they? Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, fair assumption. I mean, I try and keep myself a little bit to myself over the last few years.
You're not like a social media influencer, are you?
No, it's not the kind of thing that I decided not to earlier on in my journey. So, you know, my name is Rizwan Wadan, yeah. So I specialize in developing camera technologies, involved in research and development of technical solutions that are used in the filming industry, in particular gimbal technologies. You see these little things that you carry around these days with a camera, and then they keep them stable.
To your body?
Well, the one, yeah, that's the one we have. We have something a lot bigger, but gimbals and drone technologies, they work together, because usually you'll have a gimbal on top, a drone and a gimbal underneath it for the cameras.
Right.
So earlier on, I think about 15 years ago, I got involved in the kind of R&D and the development of these technologies earlier on. So that's what I'm kind of known for. So I'm a member of the Royal Academy of Engineering.
Okay.
I used to make fun of this, that we always Asians, all doctors and engineers. I've somehow managed to fulfill that self-fulfilling prophecy of being an engineer.
But you know, see, the thing is, people think that there's a dawah and a very religious side to what you're doing, and mission.
Yes.
Could we say?
Yes. I mean, I picked up the camera to represent Islam and Muslims to the wider non-Muslim audiences.
Yeah.
I say that openly. It's what my mission is. It was, and
you're good at.
It's what my purpose is, and I find that purpose is shared with those from the Christian community, the Christian faith. Is shared from those from the Jewish faith. It's shared from people from all faiths and no faiths. You know, like, because I think. Sorry, I'm neurodiverse. If something happens, I can't focus. I can either hyper focus or then I can't.
I think you were telling me to put a mic near my face.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, fair enough. He probably wants to cover mine one as well. So he was like, "Yeah, block this." So the camera's there, so they're going to hear me fine.
You wanted to check, yeah.
All right, so yeah. So as I said, just because I think I digressed and waffled a little bit there, jumping fast forward.
You picked up a camera.
Yeah, I picked up the camera to represent Islam and Muslims to the wider non-Muslim audiences. I've ended up, fast forward, I'll cut the story short, I've ended up in Pinewood Studios through tech development. I always felt that if you are going to serve your creator, then you need to do that to the highest standards. And so even when I was first starting out, I picked up the camera quite late. I didn't go through the academic route. I didn't go through university. I didn't go through that. Well, I did go university, but to become an English language and linguistics teacher, because I felt that I would, it's funny, because I would go to the Muslim world in some way, and I felt that communication was the problem and is the problem. People do not understand the Islamic faith or the Muslim community because there's a language barrier. And
when you say language, you mean accent, language
barrier,
or just the way they converse? Just
all of it. Into a point, because even, you know, you hear people saying, "Oh, they don't speak our language." I mean, in certain ways that's probably correct, because people don't understand our religion, because we're living in England and people don't know who Allah is. But if, for example, if they knew in Arabic the name for God is Allah in the Coptic Christian Bible, for the Christian community, so the Christians, Arabs living in the Middle East, they'll refer to God as Allah. So when people are saying who is Allah, and you know they're chanting this in anti-Muslim rallies, it's like you're saying who is God. But then if you're searching for God, there are answers, and we have many shared values between the Christian faith and the Jewish faith and the Islamic faith. And so, but anyway, the situation for me, fast forwarding back into Pinewood, it's quite kind of interesting, because Pinewood Studios was founded by J. Arthur Rank, Lord Rank, and he was part of the Methodist Church. He felt that Christianity wasn't being represented in Hollywood movies. the way it should. And this is going back in the 30s, 40s, right? And and so he started to make films with Christian values. And British, historically traditional British values, you could even say. So that's then he started to do that, and then he needed a studio or a facility to film in, and then that's the foundation of the Manor House and Pinewood Studios. They bought Pinewood Studios. So Pinewood Studios itself has a very historical, religious, faith kind of foundation.
So how do you fit into that now? Are they welcoming you with open arms, or have you sort of bullied your way in and made your spaces?
I don't think you can bully your way in anything. You have to be there's no.
But you're quite a tenacious character.
Yeah, I mean,
you're softly spoken, but you're quite. You're quite determined, aren't you?
Yeah, but if the thing is, people innately aren't oppressive, or people aren't innately kind of wanting to oppress people or restrict people or hate people or not give people opportunities. Certain things are just the way they are because of how institutions are built, or the families or the entities or the corporations that have built them, and they have their age-old historical empire structures. So the filming industry is no different. It started earlier on in the late sort of 18th century, 19th century, and then in cinemas, news was one of the things that people would go to cinemas, auditoriums, to be able to gain the information. It's so you have to look at it from a historic perspective. And so for me, the education of picking up the camera, let's go roll it back a little bit. There's contentious issues about images are haram. A lot of people will know that we get really upset about the drawings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and so we get contentious about the drawings of the creator and idol worshipping and things like that, which we share in common with the some parts of the Christian faith and definitely with the Jewish faith. And so coming back to it, images and all of that. So when you look at it, when people going back to do they open you with open arms, I think when you have something to offer, like if you put yourself out there, no matter what field it's in, if you make yourself a person who's there to service and support and build and create solutions, then that simply is very difficult to ignore. Firstly, foremostly, for me, the intentions for us were sincere, and I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps my intentions sincere to make sure that I'm doing this for the right reasons. But when you are balancing your deen and your dunya, so I picked up a piece of tech that didn't kind of exist yet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, gave me a gift of knowledge with this piece of tech that others couldn't see, but I could see if this worked in a certain way, and if I built it with the cinema cameras, if I did this, and if I, so I could see the future of what that technology could look like, because I was listening to what the industry professionals needed. So at that stage,
you listened to the problem.
Yeah, I looked at the problem.
Find a solution for it. Problem solved.
Problem solving mindset. And I think, filmmaking, if somebody said to me, what is filmmaking? I would say one is lifting boxes from one side, from the set to the other side to the set. It's lugging. That's one thing. Very meticulous and organized and precise and collaborative. But not the most important thing is solving problems as effectively, as quickly, as efficiently as you possibly can. Because on a film set, it could be £100,000. It depends if it's a set piece, and that could be £100,000 a minute.
The biggest film you've worked on, by the way?
Alhamdulillah, I would say the most important message that everyone can, whether you're Muslim or non-Muslim, that's valuable, is the Erin Terror campaign, which was the one that's from a Muslim perspective. If there's anyone that's deluded by thinking that Islam supports you to carry out an act of terrorism, to go around and go.
So this is a video that people might have seen. The guy leaves a rucksack in the marketplace, and in slow motion, it explodes. It explodes in slow motion, and you see everything flying around. And he talks in slow, and it's a young girl's voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a very beautiful piece of. How long is that? About 4 minutes?
No, it's less than that. It's a minute and a half, 2 minutes max.
Really that old?
Yeah,
So it's powerful. It's powerful cinema.
Yeah. So I'll tell you why that's important. I mean, to name drop of productions, the biggest productions, or the most. Star Wars Rogue One, doing a lot of R&D on that.
Right.
So I did lots of research and development. They had an Alexa 65 camera. I'm not going to bore people to death with tech, but we're the first company in the world to stabilize those cameras. But people can lift it. So the operators couldn't lift it. So we had to find an exoskeleton solution to be able to actually
And
get
that's
the
what you did.
operator. Yeah, we were just doing R&D, lots of R&D behind the scenes, lots of research and development. And from that point onwards, you know, the Ronin DJI gimbals came about. There's a few other gimbals coming about. When I was
gimbal, bro, for the likes of me.
stabilization. So something, a motorized, you know, brushless motorized system, basically it allows you to place, position, and move heavy cinema cameras in a place where you can kind of move them in a smoothly, and it's stable, and it's, you know, it's like, you know, it's pitch roll, so it's like, you know, panning, tilting and rolling, so it stabilizes that. So those moments, so you can actually, instead of things being shaky, you can precisely control something. So you can, if I've got a mark and it's a crosshair, I can bring that camera to that mark all the, like, very efficiently and very
and that's
easily.
what they hire you to do.
Yeah, you've seen adolescence now, haven't you? So adolescence has gone big now because of the way that they've moved the camera on drones, and there's loads of BTSs of this sort of thing. Those are the technologies that I was kind of, I'm known for bringing into the industry, and also one that's specifically used for the Panavision XL2 film camera. And I'm doing some further R&D on that with the teams at Panavision to build a few more rigs, specialist rigs.
So this is your speciality.
Yeah, it's what I've been gifted with in the dunya creative aspect of it.
So how now are you utilizing?
Can I go back to the Air and Terror campaign?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So the Air and Terror campaign, I've kind of looked at it over the years, and that was like 2018. And the purpose for that, I got onto a film called The Favourite. Which was nominated for 10.
The Favourite.
Yeah, The Favourite. It was nominated for 10 Oscars. Olivia Colman, Emma Stone. It won the Oscar for best cinematography. Okay. And I was the operator on that. Robbie Ryan, the cinematographer. They and the directors would give me a challenge to go and figure out can you capture this shot? Can you move the camera in this way? Can you track the camera? So I would go around and shoot all of those tests and bring them back. So I was like the specialist cinematographer that would go and shoot those, bring them back to Robbie and, you know, to the cinematographer to look at it, and they'd okay it, and then we would go and film that. And I remember on that production, it was the Westminster attack happened, and I remember when I finally got a film camera working with with our system, I felt on the first day of the shoot and before the shoot that I've solved one of the biggest technical challenges with a film camera in the history of cinema, and I did that, and I could feel that, and I could also see a trajectory with that job. Like, I could do this now, and if I make this even better, it'll go from one production, it can go to another production, and then I can spend my life doing that, and that's my career, and I can continue to step up and to do that, okay. and maybe do okay, inshallah. Yeah. But I felt at that moment on that production, I was just in the camera truck, and I heard the news that somebody had carried out the knife attack on the Westminster Bridge. Right. And it hit me that I'm working and solving problems on set. And I said to you, what is filmmaking about? It's problem solving. Yeah. And I thought, if I'm effectively a problem solver on set, I felt like I had to do something to solve problems in society. And the reason why I did that project was, one, I felt I had to, I understood, I had the connections, I had the resources, I had the knowledge, and I felt that the See Something, Say Something campaigns, you know, as effective as they could be, they kind of didn't hit the nail on the head in dealing with, and I get it, because they don't want to make I'm sure if they made a Muslim character, and then the Muslims would be, you know, possibly saying, why have you put a Muslim character in this, a government campaign, what, Muslims are terrorists, and this, that, the other. So I had to go and meet a lot of scholars as well to explain to them, you know, this is a concept. And a lot of them were in support of it, especially after when I would ask them a question, they would say, you know what, this might reinforce the kind of stereotype that Muslims are terrorists. I said, I'm going to just close your eyes for a minute. I'm going to say one word. You let me know what people think about this one word and who they're associated with. And they said, okay. And I said, Islam. And, you know, Muslims, like, with terrorism, it's just there. It's associated with it. So
you took that moment as your moment.
Yeah, not only just my moment. I also felt that, okay, let me put myself in the shoes of someone who wants to go and carry out an act of terror. Right. So I thought, you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm a soldier of Allah, I'm here, or I'm going to be going out, and, you know, I think to myself that everyone's a, you know, enemy or whatever, and I'm going to go in the market, some sort of marketplace now. And if I do this, if I put myself in the shoes of someone who's an extremist, who's now thinks that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought, what would stop me? What would deter me from it? Would it be my mum, my family? It wouldn't be, because I'm going to take them to heaven.
They don't understand.
No, they don't understand. I'll take them to heaven because I'm a martyr. Sorry. And so I thought, okay, that wouldn't stop me. What? Okay, if it's the imam, the local imam, telling me not to do it, well, he's a sellout.
He's a sellout.
Yeah. All right. So then, what would stop me? And I thought, what would stop me is the only thing that will stop me is the Quran, and because we know that it's unchanged, and this is probably another advocate why it shouldn't be changed, because it deters you from carrying out these acts, and the knowledge within the religion doesn't promote you to do it. So we have to basically make sure that that message gets out there. So when we structured this campaign, one of the things that I thought about was the scripting of it was very careful. Like so I met up with people that were, and I think I'm digressing a little bit here, but I had to meet up with people, solicitors that were representing, convicted terrorists, and do my research and look at it from a religious perspective, from a, not just a political perspective. Why do people carry out acts of terror? And, it's not something that you learn in the madrasa. It's not something that you're taught. And it's really a political thing. People attack or carry out acts of terror here because of things that are happening abroad. And then they link it back to here, and it's not done because the religion tells you to go and do that to in a marketplace, that you want to kill people, you want to do that.
It's like for like.
So anyway, so I the whole project itself, just the scripting of it, we could probably write books about each of the words or the phrases or the.
How long did it take, by the way?
It took a year to just get it off the ground.
Right. That's just pure research.
Research, and to get the momentum, get the community support. I had to sell my cameras. I put my business, which was going to start taking off, on hold. I moved away. I stepped away from it just to make sure that I could give it the time it needed to see it through. Because I said to Allah at that time, I said to God that, it's like serving God and country, right? Like, you say for the queen, it's for the king and country, right? So, for me, it's like for God, king, and the country, right? So if we're living here, abide by it. And if there's people that are going to be trying to carry out any violent acts or are up to no good, then as a Muslim, I'm supposed to stop that physically if I can. I'm going to stop that with my, at least speak up against it. So the campaign was really designed for those people that think that the religion, or there might be some Muslims that think that they can carry out these acts. It's there to tell them that you can't, and the religion doesn't teach you. So you need to rethink that. Because for me, coming back to that moment of pressing the trigger, right, in that moment, so putting myself into it. So I thought to myself, the whole thing, the reason to replay it and make the explosion and go back. I thought to myself, at that moment, just make somebody think that you press the trigger. There's no going back. You're going to go to see Allah now. That's it. You're going to meet your maker now. If you're going to meet your maker, the last thing you're doing on earth is you've killed people. There's children there. They're innocent. You're not supposed to cut, even in like warfare, you're not supposed to cut down trees that bear fruits. Strict rules. You can't do that, right? So, so you got to realize what you're doing. And I think it does that really well. But also for those people that think that Islam supports terrorism, this campaign actually, the video itself explains it, doesn't it?
It completely debunks that.
Debunks it. And the other thing is that we've reached 12 million people so far. We've got Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland left to go to. You went to one of the pubs where we did the screenings in Luton.
The Bricklayers Arms in
Luton.
In Hightown. Was it not Hightown?
Yeah, it's in Luton. It's in Luton. So we
I was a bit apprehensive about that, if I'm honest with you, bro. But you talked me into it.
Jazakallah khair for that. Yeah, Jazakallah khair for that. I mean, the thing is, when you look at it from a religious perspective as well, like the Islam in the early 10 years or so before the like in terms in the Meccan period, people were drinking alcohol, people were drinking alcohol, all sorts of things were going on. We seem to like, and I come from a background where when I came to the religion, I went really harsh and really strict. So even for me to pick up the camera, it was a very difficult choice. I thought about it for a whole year. Made lots of da'ah, reaching out to connect with, for those that are not Muslim watching this, Allah, and from a Star Wars perspective, the Force, because the Force is quite interesting. It's very tawhidic. It's very interesting that they've got the concepts of Allah from a scientific perspective. You could describe Allah to those followers of, the followers of the Jedis, and tell them not to go into the dark side, So light comes from it, darkness comes from it. No, I base it on something. Dune's got loads as well. The book's got loads, the Mahdi's in there, all that stuff. So yeah, all these films have these sort of things in it. So coming back to Sorry, I've just hijacked the show at the moment.
No,
I'm 100 miles an hour here.
I know you.
That's 100 miles an hour. So apologies for that.
And this is fascinating. You've got carry on, brother. I'll give you the 30-second
warning. Yeah. Okay. So I think what people can realize or look into that project, because that project also showcases a lot of technologies. We've got a practical explosion. We've got SFX stunts. We've got people being pulled on wire rigs. 200 people on set, alhamdulillah. So we're trying to send and then there's two verses. There's one verse from the Quran, and then there's two hadiths.
People watch it.
They can watch it online.
Yeah,
they can watch it online. I think there's it's on a few channels. You can go on to Pixelite Pictures.
Yeah.
There's the video on there. I think it's on Islam channel as well, ITV as well. So it's been on BBC as well. So reports have been made about it. TV reports have been made about it.
It has. Yeah,
so a couple of things you mentioned. Do people open you with open arms in the industry? Is that the 30 seconds?
So we're going to come back after the break, inshallah. We're going to talk about the rest of this.
Assalamu alaikum. In Luton and its surrounding areas, it is now time for Salat al-Asr.
लुटन और इसके मज़ाफ़ात में नमाज असर का वक्त हुआ चाहता है.
This azan has been sponsored by Ideal Properties. Contact us on 01582 72 1110 or log on to www.idealpropertiesltd.co.uk.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
Would you like to sponsor the azan? If so, give us a call on 01582 481810 or email us on info@inspirefm.org.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6:30.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. You're back on Speaker's Corner with myself and Riz. Okay, so we're going to get right into it now. Because there's so much to talk about. This is really an episode. We could do multiple of these, and inshallah we will. Because I think it's such a big thing. An underestimated thing is Muslims in filming.
Yeah,
it really is. It's powerful, man. So, sorry, bro. So please, like we spoke about, what's next? Right. Explain what you got and what's next.
So I think just very quickly, it's like, you know, as we spent we spent the whole of the year documenting the pandemic. We went out with that campaign, that video, and we went to people that haven't met a Muslim before, haven't, you know, maybe up north, not just even you'd be surprised, people may never have met a Muslim in whatever, Bishop Stortford or somewhere else, like because we live in our own echo chambers. How many neighbors speak to neighbors, bro?
Not many.
Let alone, you know, just go. You go into any sort of town or outside of our kind of echo chambers or smaller communities, you'll find that people don't really.
Middle England doesn't mix.
Well, we don't mix. People don't talk to each other.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that, you know, one of the purposes for that campaign was to turn confrontation.
So what was the campaign? The
COVID thing. Just because I want to fast forward it to Futures in Film.
Yes,
and I want to tell you why that's come. You know where that's come from and what's happened with that. And I think it's really important to let you know where that inspiration came from. And I think over kind of that year of documentation of the pandemic, and that'll come out as well, there's loads of amazing we've got a snapshot on the Muslim community and the role they play within society across the UK, especially during the pandemic. Right. So from 2 weeks before the pandemic till throughout the pandemic till my mother's death. And inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all our loved ones that have gone with the high status in Jannah. And I think burying my mother was a really important period for me, because at that moment I realized that at some point I'm going to pass on as well. And if I carry on the way I'm carrying on with a project to project mind thinking, then this isn't going to last. And I've got a unique position in the industry that's beneficial, not just for Muslims, but also faith communities and non-faith communities. Okay. And I felt like I've got a role to play where I'm not just solving problems on set, but also solving problems in society. And I saw that there is a need for our faith communities to be represented, especially for the Abrahamic faith, which that community shares so much in common.
But a lot of people would say, brother, just quickly on that, is that the Jewish side of it is represented quite heavily. Maybe not the Christian side or the Jewish side for sure.
No, now we're getting into the politics. Yeah, we're not talking about faith here now. Now we're talking about politics. You were talking about politics, and if we go into that, for example, I'll give you a clear-cut example. As a Muslim, you can't shoot a sex scene. As a practicing Jew, you can't shoot a sex scene. You can't shoot nudity. You can't support blasphemy, or if there's certain things, you can't promote certain products. You can't support, for example, alcohol, or pork, or whatever, or sex or nudity. There's so many things that people that are within the industry wouldn't realize that someone from a faith community can or cannot shoot. So we call it dailies. You could turn up on set. You've trained yourself up over years to become an operator, and you get to work with the Association of Camera Operators teams and the British Society of Cinematographer teams, and you make it to the top, right? And at that point, you turn up and you don't know what the script is. And I'm giving you a clear-cut example of a situation I've been in. I've not publicly spoken about this. It's on a $79 million production, a series. It's a pilot for that series, and I'm not going to name the series. And there's a director adheres to a faith. I'm not going to name the faith, but we spoke about faith as well. Like, he understands the religion, this, that, the other. The next day, there's 3 camera teams on this big production, and one camera team you could think works on Bond, the other one on Mission Impossible, the other one on Star Wars. Like it's the top caliber of top stuff. Top. So I'm there making my debut with my system, with my rig. This is just before the anti-terrorism campaign, before I went off to do that, and it's amazing. The first day, everyone's loving the system, everything's going well, and at some point, I realized that the next day there's going to be a scene that's going to be shot in it. It's going to be a new sex, like pretty much they've hired porn stars to be working as the performers who are going to could be simulated, may not be simulated. God knows best. All I know is that I've had like my gut, like it's the sinking feeling. I can't explain to you. All I know is that this is a test. Now, if I shoot this, I will never be able to unshoot this. It's there. And no one else can use my system, so I can't really pass my system on to someone else. I have to say no.
Mm.
And so, you know, the cinematographer who is my, you know, one of my mentors and who I was working for, he said to me, Reza, if you feel like uncomfortable about anything, because he could see where this was going.
Mm.
And so anyway, the next day I turn up on set, but leaving in the morning, I'm getting this horrible sinking feeling. And, you know, I just knew that something's off and I'm going to be ending up in a situation. I just knew it.
Mm.
And I was making dua on the way. And when I got on set, I found out they're going to put me into that situation where I'm going to be shooting the party scene. And they were reflecting the party environments of like what used to happen in the period times. Nothing's changed. These sort of things happen even now. Exploitation's happening. It's not a new thing. Rich, power, you know,
all goes together.
Yeah, it goes together, and there's all sorts of nonsense that comes about. I'm not saying that's always the case, but I'm just saying that you know that was a situation. So for me, that was a life-changing moment for me as well, because I realized that I can't just work as an operator in the industry, because how many times will I go with my system and I won't know the set, and then this happens and I have to say no.
It's going to be common, isn't it?
Anyway, I did say no. I knew then that there are some doors that shut for me in the unseen or ghaib. And I knew there will be some doors that will open for me in a different way. So the reason why I'm talking about for Futures in Film, and we were also here with Shamiza, with Nina, about Screen Sisters, is that, you know, we've been selected as finalists for the Duke of Edinburgh's Film and Television Inclusion Awards this year, alhamdulillah, for Futures in Film. And inclusion isn't, from our perspective as an entity, isn't always about trying to get somebody in a job in an entry-level position, which is great. But Futures in Film is also about storytelling, you know, telling the best of our stories. How do we build our community's capacity to tell the best of our stories? And from a prophetic, looking at the prophetic path, you can see that there were always alliances with the Christian community and the Jewish community, especially when we share so much in common. So coming back to the faith values, so, you know, that's something that I understood that's needed. But anyway, we have a faith charter that we've developed that we are testing out with companies, because it's about awareness.
So when you say a faith charter, Rob,
so that's kind of like making the industry aware of our needs in the technical divisions, in behind the scenes, and those organizations that need to know what we can't shoot, so they can. It's not about making something difficult in the industry. It's trying to make it understand how to leverage the strength of that faith community. Muslims are about 2 billion people. That's possibly 2
that's
billion.
a marketplace as well, isn't it?
Exactly. That's like 2 billion subscribers, and you got the Christian community,
Watchers
3 to 4 billion. You got about 5 to 8, 5 to 6 billion people. I think it's about. I mean, you know, I check them.
That would rather not see that.
That may or may not see that. So there's, you know, the crew that you have, the team that you have is a soundboard, and we're pulling together an economic case. But also, when it comes down to inclusion as well, you know, the faith community see a world in a certain way. We have our views and opinions.
Certain optics that we look through.
Certain things that we see, how we view gender, how we view faith, how we view what we can shoot, what we can't shoot. And so, you know, that's one aspect of it. But Futures in Film is a little different. I think we've put forth, you know, the 5 points, which is kind of technical innovation. So coming back down to Futures in Film, I realized that I needed to build something that could be a solution in the industry beyond just like my own technical solutions, my own companies. I wanted to build something that can better the industry from a technical innovation perspective. So R&D is a strength for us. Connecting that with the Royal Academy of Engineering, there's transferable skills for the next generation to be able to understand that you can work in and around the industry and that sort of infrastructure. You can be a carpenter, you can be an electrician. There's so many different jobs in there. So that's one aspect of, you know, and there's also finding new and unique ways to shoot and to film. Second is production simulations, making productions of that are bringing those technologies and putting them onto a film set.
So will you be making, let's say, Muslim films?
Well, coming to social impact filmmaking.
Okay, go on.
So, I mean, look, Muslim, like
it's almost like you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say. So social impact filmmaking is about, you know, there's a part of that faith that touches upon faith-inspired films.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to be able to establish common terms. And I think filmmaking is a phenomenal platform, like the poets might, you know, throw back in the day something that would be kind of anti-God, or it's like kind of, and then you have a pro kind of like, so there's a way to work together with those that do believe and don't believe and work together with them to make films that can address the issues. Because look, when it's interesting, because to establish common terms, you've got to engage with people that do not there is no, there may not be common terms. And that can't be done in an echo chamber. If the Christian community is just speaking to the Christian community, you just order.
What's the reception been like from the Christian community towards yourself?
Amazing. I'm working with
Really
the Rank
good.
Foundation. Alhamdulillah, it's really strange.
Sorry, bro, what foundation?
So the Rank, you know, J. Arthur Rank.
Right, okay,
Rank,
sorry, yeah. Go on.
So the foundation, you know, they're supporting us because they realize that we have a lot to offer in society that is beneficial for young people. It's beneficial for communities. There's a lot of good that we can be doing. And, you know, we're doing it in a way in an industry which, and coming to academia struggles to address some of those problems. So it's kind of so coming to social impact filmmaking. So for example, you probably heard of the ITV drama that was made about the postmaster scandal last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the documentary is based around the documentaries as well, but the 3-part drama, it was a drama that hit the hearts of the public. It wasn't the documentary. It was the dramatization of it. You know, the 3 girls drama about the Rotherham scandal, which it's really interesting because just recently it's come out the police were involved in it. It's on the BBC. It wasn't just being kept secret because of the council, but there's actually law enforcement officers. So there's going to be an interesting thing to look at. But anyway, coming back to the 3 girls, the individual that carried out the terrorist attack on Kilburn, he drove the car into, he said in court that he'd had all these views before, but the thing that really triggered him was that he saw the drama and that was it. So it triggered him in a negative way. Films can have a really powerful impact and they can change and shift policy. Making a Murderer, I think, helped free some people. That was a documentary. But then coming back to Kathy Come Home or Ken Loach, he's one of my. I look up to Ken and his films and the social commentary. So social impact through filmmaking is really something that's important. It's important for all communities. I think the Muslim community has not been involved in this industry for many reasons, which I've just addressed earlier.
I don't know anyone else except for yourself that's involved in it from the Muslim community.
No,
is there anyone else?
You got Riz Ahmed. I mean, made a phenomenal film which won the Oscar, The Long Goodbye. An amazing film. Sometimes we play that as well, so people can look at that and discuss it along with some of our films as well. And then there's also the brother, but he's doing Red Face, I think, the brother Muslim Abrar Hussain, he's doing some good stuff. But he did One Day in a Haram, one day. I tend to deal with so for myself, my Pixelide deals with a lot of films that make social impact. So we deal with difficult, hard to deal with subject matters, addressing the elephant in the room, making films that will really, like for myself, what I've learned as a filmmaker over the years, or I've realized that I've got a responsibility that's a very different type of responsibility, because somebody who's an activist can go out and maybe protest and do certain things. And for me as a filmmaker, I've got to look at things objectively. I have to do it in an impartial way, non-partisan. So I've got a response. And the thing is, truth is interesting because truth from one perspective is a completely different story from truth from another perspective. And what for me as a filmmaker, what I'm trying to do from Pixelide, not just the social impact filmmakings, we've got other people involved in that as well. It's not just about Muslim films. That's about just films that make social impact. So that's dealing with knife crime, youth gang culture, child sexual exploitation, or even issues around domestic violence, or migrants, or it's not having enough at home, or not being enough, or not thinking enough. We've got a concept of I'll just say it, but if I can pull it together, we've got a concept of shooting a music video, but it's not a music video, it's a short film off a music video that's highlighting the culture where you've got artists, they've got prop money, they've got girls around them, and they've got really like a supercar in a big house. Want to have that as a set, but showcase the reality of it. The artist doesn't own the car, doesn't own the set, the prop
doesn't
money,
own his music.
The money, wait for it. Money isn't even real. It's prop money that they're holding. And then the house isn't there, it's just rented. So we just want to show how everything falls apart. The girls don't even like them because they're hired in, because the models that are being paid. There's a really sad side to that because they get exploited as well. They get promised certain dreams and certain things, and there's a lot of exploitation in that. Look at P. Diddy and look at all these. So we want to showcase that because young people are growing up looking at
glamorizing videos. That's a real life.
I'm telling you, people are stabbing people because they don't think they have enough. We have more than what kings had like 200-300 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, a pineapple was a sign of wealth.
Yeah.
You could pick one up
So
from
was
freaking-
sugar.
Yeah, you could pick one up from like Tesco. You understand? For 99p or something, or
Yeah.
maybe it was 169 or whatever.
200 years ago, there were no flushing toilets.
Yeah, exactly. So
Kings.
so kings,
Had no
right?
flushing
If I
toilets,
would
yeah.
suggest that we take out young people to Dover Castle and other places to show them, and Hampton Court palaces, and show them what people actually had. No central heating,
Yeah.
no water supply. Like I'm telling you right now, we live, you know, anyone who's in this country or most countries, they live more comfortable lives than the most wealthiest people 200-300 years ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And so it's gratefulness that's missing. And filmmaking, social impact filmmaking, can help people to feel grateful. We need to have young people that are raised and communities that are more united. How can you have a united kingdom when you don't have united communities?
There's no kingdom without community, is there?
There's no united kingdom without united communities. And no matter how different we are, what we look like, we've got to work together to solve problems.
What do you say to the Muslims, Akhi? Sorry, that say we can't unite with these people because they're not Muslim?
What? That's a ridiculous statement. That's
But
like,
that's people say that.
well,
sort of
who
thing.
would say that to you? I've never heard that in my life.
I've heard it, but because they're non-Muslim and, you know, maybe they have a completely different view of life and belief, then we have to.
Yeah, but here's the thing: your cornflakes, your supply chain, what you go and get, who's making it? Like, look, bring it back to something really simple. Some of the problems, the mosques were used as food banks. Did we care who we took care of? So when the chips were down and
you're
COVID,
talking in the pandemic.
I'm talking about the pandemic. When the chips were down, what did the mosques do? They transferred them. They what's it called? They converted themselves into food hubs to give food out to everyone.
That's true.
No race, no religion, to everyone they can. You could just come in. You could come in, or there were drops happening. We've documented them, right? So when there are communities that are saying we can't be united with them, there might be some differences. Like that's just going to be the case. There's some things that, you know, you might not support Fulham or Manchester United, and you're not going to be united in going there and whatever. I'm taking it back to tribalism, really. And there's some things that you might not be united on, but we live in this country. We've got to be united in making sure that we defend it. We've got to be united in the way that we got to kind of have better neighborhoods, not just for our kids, for others as well. As Muslims, we're supposed to be example, you know, each mosque is supposed to be kind of like a community space and a center. Whenever the Sahabas or the companions or anybody went out, or the disciples of, you know, Jesus, they went out, they spread a message of peace, but they built better communities around.
Alhamdulillah, but I'm on the same page as you, but how much help or support have you had from masjids, talking about masjids quickly?
Well, I mean, look, masjids are going through a transformational phase. I think I don't want to criticize any masjid here, because they've been, you know, there's like different generations coming with different generational problems and issues, and they've had to deal with that. But the mosques are resources for the wider community. And that's something that the mosques and the younger generation are looking at. I think the next generation coming through, they understand the culture better. They understand, you know, the communities better, you know. Definitely. And also, this is a reminder to all Muslims, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, sent messengers that spoke the language of the people and that were from the people. You know, those, and you know, this message isn't, and Islam and Christianity and Judaism isn't really about like color. You know, it's not, you know, especially for Islam anyway, like it's not about kind of race and ethnicity. And so when we go to foreign lands, when we go somewhere, I'm a first generation immigrant, you know, like I came here when I was like 6-7 years old. And my religion teaches me to make sure that I contribute. I do the best I can. I overcome my vices. You know, I've had, you know, like I've got an addictive personality. I've got to deal with my own problems, my own demons. I've got to make sure that I'm there, not just for myself, but for others as well. And I think that most mosques have that, or the communities have that tendency. And I think we need to spread that a little bit further and wider. We do that in Ramadan a little bit. We do that with the neighbors, but we're supposed to like visit a mosque day. Why is it a visit a mosque day? It should be open just all the time. You know, and people are struggling at the moment, right? Muslims give a lot, and I think there's a lot of charities that are looking at UK projects. There's a lot of mosques looking at what can we do locally. I think the tide is turning where even those that don't, let's say the anti-Muslim groups, I will never say, I don't like the word far right, like, because if you go all the way around, there might be people in the left that don't like Islam, there might be people in the center that don't like Islam, there might be people who don't like
it's a lazy term.
It's a lazy term, and it really characterizes this, because there are genuine concerns that some of the people that people call far right, there could be some people that are coming here in the boats that might be enemy combatants. We're having these sort of conversations. There might be. But then we've got to look at it and think, actually, if they're Muslim, what would stop them from doing that? They need to know that their religion doesn't support
It's
them
the
to do
deen that would provoke it and the deen that would stop it.
Yeah, no, it's
the misunderstanding of the deen.
No, it's the violence abroad that provokes it, because they're coming on the boats.
Right.
Like, nobody's going to Sahara Desert to, blow up some moles. Or that's a bad terminology. Let me just bring that back. No one's going to. We've got to ask a question: why do people want to come here and attack us? There must be something, and so we've got to look at it.
It's not a vacuum. It's not
and that doesn't justify it at all.
No.
And so what I'm saying is that innately people realize that we've been involved in certain things, certain wars that kind of lead us to be afraid of people that are coming here. Then you got people that don't want to contribute. You got the people that are abusing young girls, but that happens in different. Like, for example, in Bolton recently, there's been a grooming gang, just all white,
all white guys. Yeah, it hasn't made the news though, has it?
It has, but
not as much.
Well, I mean, it's just it's. I'm not going to say it hasn't. It has, but what we've got to realize is that wherever there's, let's say, drugs or that sort of community or that sort of culture or that sort of business or enterprise, illegal enterprise, it has trafficking involved with it. And it has abuse of women and sexual exploitation, abuse of slavery, and all of these things that happen. It's not common in just one community. It's common worldwide.
It is.
And then because I don't want to do the whataboutism that you got this over there.
Yeah.
It's just we've got to look at it as what it is.
Yeah.
And how do we deal with that as a community? Yeah. How do we work together to deal with that? One message I'd like to send out to the English community is that these are our daughters. Like whether I'm Asian or whatever. I would do my best and die defending the land, and may God give me the courage if that ever happens, that I've got to stop someone physically, that I have the courage to do that. And I don't care who that person is. I would do that because it's something that my religion teaches me to stop something that's incorrect physically. If I can do something about it, speak up about it, or think bad of it. And I think for filmmaking is something you can do to create situations and scenarios and dramatize them based on facts. And you can get people from both sides working together on on an issue, because one of the things that we don't want to do is, sorry, time wise as well. One of the things we don't want to do is we don't want to caricaturize, the communities. You don't want to have gotcha moments, because what are you doing? People have genuine concerns, and you're trying to have a gotcha.
I think that's a very good point.
It's ridiculous.
What you just said is a very good point.
It's important.
We don't want to get into this tennis table of, well, you said this, so we'll say that. And just point scoring. Basically.
I understand that we're on Speaker's Corner, but I absolutely don't.
You don't like Speaker's Corner.
That's not my. That's
not your area.
It's not. There's people that might be more qualified. More qualified with me than that do that. But as you said, I've not. I decided not to go on YouTube and become like a podcaster earlier on. I didn't like to go and start making just videos just earlier on. I had offers in 2012, 13 to make prank videos and do all of the things that people did to get some fame.
Yeah.
I went to a point where I could represent the creator to the higher standards and to do things with ethics that everyone can get behind.
So what projects have you got on the go? You say you want to make films that are impactful, bro. What have you got any in I know we're talking about one, but have you got any others?
Yeah, I think on a personal level, I've got to make sure I complete the journey, the nationwide journey. So I've got Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland to go to. I've reached out to the lovely team at the Reform Pub in Blackpool. So I went to visit Nick, and we had a good chat. Nick was, I believe it was probably Nick Toe. I believe he's the owner of the pub in Blackpool. It's the first Reform pub. When we went there, it's people are always taken back, like what's going on, but there was a nice pool table there. So I started just playing pool, waiting for Nick. And we had a really good chat, because the concerns they have, we have the same concerns. And when people realize that, it just flips things.
I think there's an understanding that because you're Muslim, you're just going to argue the opposite. I don't want people coming in on boats because I don't know who they are either. I mean, it's a fair enough point.
It's a fair enough point, because the thing is, if someone comes in and they are coming in with, like when they, to be honest with you, when he was starting to talk about the boats, I said to him, Nick, I don't actually want to talk about the boats. That's not the migrant thing. I'm not just trying to come here to catch you out on the migrant stuff. I said, we've got other pressing problems that we need to deal with, like that we need to share certain things. We share things in common. People don't understand. And we need to have a conversation about those things. If it gets to the boats, it gets to the boats. And
what did you start with? And what was the first pressing?
Well, like I said, okay, here's the question. I said to him, okay, I said, Nick, regarding grooming gangs or people, I said, people that rape, right? If someone carries out an act of rape, do you know what the punishment for that individual is from an Islamic perspective?
It's very serious.
And he said to me he didn't.
Okay.
And I said to him, well, it's the death penalty.
Yes.
And I said, how can you have Islamic rape gangs when the Islamic solution for that crime or those people is capital punishment, is the death penalty?
Yeah, exactly that.
So you cannot, it's an oxymoron. You can't have Islamic rape gangs.
You can't call it an Islamic rape gang unless you want to just...
No, it's just misunderstanding. Yeah. So he didn't know that. And he said, you know what, I didn't know that. And I was like, look, I'm not saying that we should advocate for death penalty, but they would advocate for that. The people that are following the reform
they
movement,
would be surprised how much there's
in common. They would look at it and think, you know, the Islamic faith and the Christian faith has so much in common. The Old Testament and the Quran ain't far off. Same source. Originally, the Old Testament and the Quran are not very far off.
But we've got 20 seconds left, so I want you to give any information where people can watch your work.
Yeah, so look, for young people that want to just get into film and all the stuff non-political, just kind of like really good, you know, giving them skills and training, go on to futuresinfilm.com. So that's, you know, futuresinfilm.com.
Futuresinfilm.com.
They can find that information, and Pixel Eye Pictures for all the kind of social impact.
Coming up next, The Parenting Show.